Hello and welcome to today's tutorial. In today's video, we are going to explore three beautiful ways to add mica powder to your gypsum projects. Everything I'm using today is listed in the description, so feel free to gather your supplies and let's start crafting together. We are going to start today's tutorial with our regular measuring process. First, place your silicone cap on the scale and zero it out. For this project, we are trying three different ways of adding mica powder to your gypsum mix, and the first one starts by measuring out our water first. Once our water is on the scale in the cup, we are adding our blue mica powder directly to the water since we are working with the blue pigment for today's project. And we only need 70 grams of water. So I'm going to scoop a few spoons a few spoons of the blue mica powder, and the exact amount depends on the shade or the depth of color you want. Adding mica powder to the water first is a very good technique because it helps the mica powder disperse more evenly before we mix in the gypsum. Once the mica powder is well mixed into the water, I wouldn't say dissolved, okay, because mica powder doesn't really dissolve. Then we are going to measure out the gypsum powder for our project. Since we are working with a 3 to 1 ratio and we started by measuring the water first, we have 70 grams of water. To find the amount of gypsum we need, we simply multiply the water amount by 3, and that gives us 210 grams of gypsum powder. So once you've measured that out, you can start by mixing immediately because gypsum sets very quickly. You're going to mix until the butter is smooth and lump free. Then you're going to pour it straight into your mold. We are going to pour the mix directly into the mold. So start by pouring about half of the butter first, then pause and give the mold a few firm taps. So you can gently shake or tilt it to help the mixture spread evenly into all the corners, and this helps to reduce the number of holes or bubbles that may appear on the base once it's demolded. So once you've tapped that first half, you can go ahead and spray lightly with isopropyl alcohol to pop any surface bubbles. Then you can quickly pour in the rest of the butter, working very fast. So remember, with gypsum, you only have about 3 minutes of workable time until after it touches the water. So after the second pour, you can spray alcohol over the surface again, and then you leave it to sit to cure for about 30 minutes. Hey, if you've made it this far, I want to say a big thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and share the video. And of course, hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications so you never miss a tutorial like this. Let's get back to it. For the second method of adding mica powder, we'll start by measuring our gypsum powder first. For this project, that's 210 grams. So before adding in any water, we are going to mix the powder directly into the gypsum powder. This method works well because both components are dry and are of a powder form, so they easily blend together. So you're going to scoop the desired amount of mica powder and stir it directly into the powder until you achieve the shade you want. Always keep in mind that gypsum has a white base, unlike epoxy resin, which is clear, so it would always lighten or mute your pigments. This means that no matter which method you use, whether adding the mica powder to the water, to the dry powder, or to the mixed butter, your final color will be softer than the raw pigment or the real mica powder you use. So if you want a deeper shade, you need to add a little extra mica. So once you're happy with the blend, you can proceed to add your or add your water and mix it as usual. Once the water has been added to the powder mix, you're going to simply mix it all until you have a smooth, beautiful blue batter. The exact shade will depend on the pigments you have chosen and the amount you use. So once the batter is ready, you're going to start by pouring about half of it into the mold. Tap the mold gently, tilt it, and spread the mixture so it reaches all the corners. And this helps to release trapped air bubbles and reduce the bubbles in the surface or on the surface after you have demolded. And then you are going to pour in the remaining batter and repeat the tapping if needed. Always wear a respirator when working with gypsum and mica powder. Inhaling these fine particles over time can cause respiratory issues. Okay, so once the mold is filled, you're going to leave it to sit undisturbed for around 30 minutes before demolding it. Okay, so for our third method, we're going to start by getting our mix ready first. So you're going to measure out 210 grams of gypsum powder and 70 grams of water. Then we'll go ahead and mix these two components together until we have a nice smooth batter. Now here's the fun part. We're going to add our mica powder after the batter has already been made. Okay, but I'm not going to mix it all the way in. I just want to give it a gentle stir so we still have those pretty streaks running through it. That way, when we pour it into our mold, it's going to set with a very beautiful natural marbled effect. All right. So after pouring our batter into the mold, we are going to just gently tap the along the edges so that we can reduce the bubbles that will be showing on the other side after we have demolded. So always be very quick when working with your gypsum if you do not want it to set in the cup. So once you're happy with what you've done and once you've made sure you've transferred all the gypsum in the cup into the mold, you can go along and spray it with the isopropyl alcohol to get rid of all the bubbles that have been released to the surface of the piece. So this is the result of our very first mixing technique where we added the mica powder into the water before mixing in the gypsum powder. And here we are demolding it gently to avoid disturbing or destroying any part of it. And just look at that. It's given us a very soft, beautiful pastel blue. The color feels nice and solid, and it's evenly distributed all the way through. Here we have the results from our second mixture where we added the mica powder directly to the gypsum powder before introducing any water. And here you can already see that we have a very deep and beautiful shade of blue. And then this is because we had more control over the pigments. Okay, we could keep adding and blending until we reached the exact tone we wanted before moving on to adding the water. Now, one thing I've noticed with mica powder is that it sometimes leaves faint whitish patches on the surface or the base of the mold. So don't worry about that. There are simple little tricks to work out around that, and I'll be showing you exactly how to do that in future tutorials so you can get a very perfect finish anytime you work on your project. And here we have the third result, which was created by adding our mica powder into the gypsum batter, giving us this gorgeous marbled finish, beautiful effect, and honestly, it turned out even better than I imagined. So, if you're looking to use your mica powder for the marbled effect, this is exactly the kind of stunning and effortless beauty you are going to achieve. I just want to say a very big thank you to our lovely subscribers. You're truly a big part of our crafting family. If you'd like to join us, remember to subscribe, like, comment, share this video, and of course, tap that little bell so you're the very first to know whenever we post another tutorial like this one. Everything we use today is available on our official website and also right here in our walk-in shop at Adenta Taxi Rank. Thank you so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you in the next video. Bye bye.